welcome back to my channel. Emma here. So today's video is going to be another how to draw easy florals for bullet journaling, and because spring is finally on the way, well, it is in the UK anyway, hopefully the last of the snow's gone, but so we're going to start with some daffodils today. So I'm using, as usual, my Pigma Microns in an array of sizes, and I'll explain those as we're going through. But I'm actually going to start with a pencil today and just show you how I sort of mark off the areas so that we can keep the shape of the flower. So let's get cracking. Let's zoom you in a little bit further. Okay. Let's hope that comes back into focus. Yes. Okay, so what we want to do with a daffodil is there are two circular parts to the daffodil. There's the part inside the trumpet, so where you have the stamen and the bits and pieces, and then there's the folded petal bits around the trumpet. So we're going to mark off those two areas with very small circles, and very faded circles rather than small, sorry. So with our pencil, we're going to lightly, very, very lightly, probably so that you can't even see that, sketch out our first circle. I hope you can see that. Then, around that, so about ½ an inch around that, we're just going to mark off another circle. Now, this does not have to be perfect circle shape, because the petals are not a perfect circle. It's just a guideline to keep you in the right dimensions. So we've got a sort of donut looking shape now. I really hope you can see that. Yep, just about. Okay, so taking my Pigma Micron 01, the first thing that I'm going to do is draw in the stamen. So let's see if we can get you in a little bit closer. Yeah, just about. Right, okay. And there we go. So yeah, first thing I'm going to do is draw in the stamen. So we have the bit in the middle, which is sort of a rounded, funny triangular shape. So that bit there. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other parts that are shooting up around that. So they're in there now. Okay. Next, we are going to draw on the outer circle that you did with the pencil. We are going to start drawing in the petal shape of that trumpet. So this is very jaggedy, and we're going to go still with our 01, and we're just going to follow around in jaggedy lines around that circle shape. Just coming in and out and weaving our way around. Make some dips in there where the petal would naturally dip in. And so we end up with something like that. Okay, so now we'd have parts where the petal is actually folded over and it comes sort of inside the trumpet. So for example, here on this placement where I've taken it in, I can draw a little line from here to here, from this point to this point, and it shows that the petal is curved over and facing inwards. And then we will do another one here, and we'll do one here and here. So don't want too many, just a few bits where the petal is closing in. Okay, so next thing that I'm going to do before I start drawing the outer petals, I'm going to take my 05 and I'm going to start adding some stippling dots to the centre of the flower. Now, if you don't know about stippling, stippling is, well, it's a the art of drawing using dots. So you use dots to denote shadow and depth and texture. So the more dots we put sort of towards the center of this stamen here, and the darker we make that cluster of dots, the more shadow is going to appear. And then we're going to bring them out lighter towards our pencil circle here, so it denotes shadow and depth and the middle of the trumpet. So I'm going to start doing some dark dense dots around the stamen and those shoots. And I'm using the 0.5 because it's just quicker to add dense bulk. So you can see some shadow there. Now I'm going to switch back to my 0.1 and I'm going to fade those dots out, so making them less dense towards the outer rim of that circle. Okay, so you can see the effect that that's giving. We've got nice shadow and depth in the centre, working its way out to lighter around that circle. And take your time with this, it does take some time, it's not a quick process and you don't have to rush it at all. You only need a very light pressure. You don't want to start stabbing away at your Pigma microns and then damage the tip. Just make more clusters if you want it darker and less as you're fading out. And stippling is a lovely way to give shadow effects. It's one of my favourites. There's also cross hatching as well, that gives nice effects, but stippling is one of my main favourites. Okay, so you can see now we have that circle shape, we have the depth and the definition there. So I'm going to start going on now to drawing the petals. So I'll zoom you out slightly so we can see the petals. Let's move you back. Okay, so a daffodil typically has 6 petals, so they sort of go around in a star shape. So I always start with the petal that has no overlap, so that we have a full petal shape there, and then we can work off that one to draw the rest in. So a daffodil petal goes up and it has a sort of pointy bit at the top and comes back down. So there's our first petal. There is also a full petal here and here, so it's almost in a triangle shape. So we're going to draw those full petals in first. So if you want to, you can lightly sketch in a pencil triangle and you've got that shape there that you can use to mark out where you want to be. So you can use it as a little map guideline. So I'm going to start from here. My petal is going to come out to that pointy bit and back in, and then another one over here. We're going to start to the pointy bit and back in. Now I'm going to fill in the petals that do overlap. Well, these overlap the under petals, so I'm going to fill in those now, and I've got my shape so I can easily see where they need to go. If you wanted to, again, you could map out a triangle with a pencil and then you've got your marked areas. So it's going to start from around here on this top petal and it's going to come out into that pointy shape and back down. And same with the bottom. We're going to start about here, so about 1/3 of an inch up the petal, and it's going to come out and around. And then the third, sorry, well it's the 6th actually, not the 3rd, but the 3rd of that set. So final one here and back around, so that all the petals meet. And now we have our daffodil structure, so you can see it's starting to come together. So now we're going to start to add some detail and form to this. So I'm going to start from the center. Now a tip, when the lines that we drew with the pencil for the circle, with paper microns, I find that you need to leave them to dry for at least 15 minutes before you start going in with an eraser. If you don't and you go in too quick, the lines will start to fade and then you'll have to go back over them. If you leave it to fully dry, you can then go and erase your pencil marks and it doesn't fade too much. Also, with an eraser, don't use too much of a hard pressure. I like the Tuff Stuff eraser from Papermate, and I also like the Tombow mono eraser. They're really fine. Let's show you. Can you see those? So the black one is the Tuff Stuff and the blue and white is the Tombow mono. They're both very fine pen type erasers with fine tips, so you can get you can erase small detail with those. So those are the two that I like. So coming from that middle where we've done the dots, I'm going to start adding a few lines, barely touching the paper with my 001, just coming out from that trumpet and up to the top, following ground with the shape of the circle. And really, I'm just skimming over. I am barely touching my paper. Okay, let's zoom you back in so you can see that. Sorry. There we go. So yeah, just barely skimming the paper. Now, where we've created this jagged edge, where you have bits coming down, you can also draw tiny little lines from there. And that helps showing the fold of the petals. So they would come in like this. Very thin. Sometimes I don't touch the paper hard enough. Very thin little lines, just to highlight those folds. There we go, and already now the centre has got a lot more form and looks a lot better than it did as just an outline, with just a few simple lines. Just adding a few more dots there. Okay, now we're going to move on to the petals, so we'll start up here, and again using the same pen we're going to follow the shape of the petal from the base up to the tip like this, and again we're going to be barely skimming the paper. Yeah, so barely skimming the paper. My pen doesn't want to do it today. Okay, and we're just following lines. And follow the shape of your petal. Don't make those skimming lines straight, make them nice and rounded and flowing. Okay, right, zoom it out slightly. There we go. Now if we want to add even more depth and drama to that, we can then go back in with our 0.5 and start adding some dots around the join between the trumpet and the petals, just in certain areas, just to show some shadow and give everything a bit more depth and definition. And we can show that these petals are overlapping each other, just like that. Okay, now the 0.5 I just use for bulk and quickness. I would normally use a 0.1 to do all my dots, but you will probably be bored of watching me do dots, so I'm going to do it with the 0.5. So into that trumpet, right into those grooves there. And just making them less. Following around with that petal, just to show a bit of shadow where it's overlapping. And you can see now we've already got much more depth on this side than we do on this side. So I'm going to take a few in there, like that, and a couple in here. There won't be as much shadow on the upper petals as there will on the bottom petals, because they're the ones that are falling behind. There's going to be a lot more shadow here. Okay, and then we're just going to carry on with that all the way around on every petal. And you can start to see that trumpet's really standing out now and looking like it's sitting above everything else, which is exactly what we want. And there we go. There is your daffodil. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a like and subscribe down below. And if you want to, you can come and follow me on Instagram and come and show me some of your recreations there. I would really love to see it, and tag me in them. My name on Instagram is BujoBug, and that will be listed down below, as will all the products that we've used today. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.